Say amen when you get there. Amen. All right, so Isaiah 51, verse 12, and we'll go down to verse 16. It says, I, even I, am he who comforts you. Who are you that you are afraid of man who dies, and of a son of man who is made as destructible as grass? That you have forgotten the Lord your Maker, who stretched out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth. That you continually tremble with fear all day long because of the rage of your oppressor, as he takes aim to destroy. And where is the rage of the oppressor? The captive exile will soon be set free and will not die in the dungeon, nor will his food be lacking. For I am the Lord your God, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. I have put my words in your mouth and have covered you with the shadow of my hand, to establish the renewed heavens and lay the foundations of the renewed earth, to say to Zion, Jerusalem, you are my people. In those verses, it just shows how powerful God is. Yes, there's many verses in the Bible that could show just God's power, but just those verses alone, he's so powerful that he laid the foundation. He laid the foundation of the heavens. He laid the foundation of the earth. And yet we are still his people. Yet he still stands by everything. He still stands by us, regardless of what we do. And so that's where I wanted to start, so that you guys know how powerful he is. That he could do all those things in just a blink of an eye. He's not going to break a single sweat when he's done doing those things. That he is the one who made the seas, and he makes the waves that make them roar. And he's so powerful that he established the heavens, he established the earth, and there's nothing that he couldn't do. And he's a sovereign God. He's capable of doing anything and everything. And not only is he capable of creating, but he's capable of fulfilling. He's the fulfiller of every need. He's the mender of every broken heart. And so since he's the fulfiller, and since he can do all those things, then we need to start having an expectancy and a faith that he will fulfill our needs. And not just in our hearts, but even just in general. I know for me, a need that I have right now is my finances, just because, school's expensive. But I know that he's going to fulfill those needs. There's sometimes I do get doubtful, and I do think, well, God, where is all this money going to come from? I don't know, but he makes a way. There's not a single person that goes to my school. Every single one of them has said, I don't know how I got here, but God made a way. Even as far as missions, for spring break, we had a missions team go out to a couple of different places, and every single one of them, we have deadlines that they have to meet, and every single one of them, I've seen on social media, I need my 50%, 50% is today, I need to meet the deadline, and I need $100 or so more, and I'm like, geez, how are you going to make that by 5 o'clock? And every single one of them met their deadline. There wasn't a single person that went, that wasn't there, that needed to be there. And so we need to start having our faith and expectancy in him. And the relationships that we build with him and the relationship that we have in him, that should be the things that are keeping us steady. It shouldn't be us going to church or us listening to worship music in the car. That shouldn't be the thing sustaining us. The thing that should sustain us and the thing that should bring us to peace in our hardship and our trials is our relationship with him. Knowing that we have a strong foundation with him. And even then those things can help us grow in our relationship with him. And so we need to begin to build a relationship with him. That way when we do get placed in positions that are tough and that we think, okay, well, how am I going to get out of this, God? But when we get in those positions, we're able to just be at peace because, God, I know that you're right here with me. God, I know that you're literally standing right here with me. And I don't have to worry, and I don't have to sit here and be frantic about everything that's going on and try to think of a million different ways that I can fix it, even though I can't fix it, because I know who my God is, because I know who my best friend is. And so we need to start being confident in who God is and what our relationship is with him. And then if we can't be confident in the relationship that we have with him, then we need to start becoming confident and start building that relationship. That way we can be. And so, yeah, our relationship needs to be something that helps us through discouragement. I know recently before I came home, I wouldn't say I was discouraged, but I was reluctant to do anything. I didn't feel like I could. I didn't feel like I was supposed to do anything, and I was just like, God, am I even supposed to be here? Like, why am I here? Why am I at school? Why am I doing these things? Like, it's taking so much out of me. What am I doing here? And I became very reluctant to even acknowledge that I had a call from God, because I felt like the whole world was around me and everyone was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and everyone at my school has all these crazy talents, and everyone at my school heard the voice of the Lord, and I'm just, God, why am I here? And I got really reluctant to do anything, but I would continue to pray. I would go to the prayer tower, or we had a campus worship, and I would just sit there, and I couldn't do anything but cry, because God, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not speaking to anybody. I feel like nobody's hearing me when I do speak. God, what am I doing here? And I would just sit there and I would cry. But I knew at the end of the day that my relationship with Jesus was enough to get me through whatever I was going through. But I didn't know that at first. It took me a minute. Like, just sitting there and crying, I was like, God, I can't do this. I'm not anybody special. But I knew that he was right there with me. And that if he's standing with me, then who can stand against me? And so, in this time, I was ready to drop everything and leave. Like, I was thinking, well, I'll finish the semester and I'll just go to a school back home. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think that I should be doing this. And I was ready to quit my story. My dad's shaking his head back there. But I was ready. I was ready to end my story. I was ready to just finish it right there. And just, no more ministry. I can do something else. No more ministry. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get involved in any of that, because that's not what I'm supposed to do. Or at least that's what I thought. And so oftentimes we're quick to end our story, and we go through these trials and these hardships, and we think, okay, well, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. You know, they're beating us up. We're all tore up. And we think, okay, well, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what God was thinking when he put me here. I don't know what he was thinking when he put me in charge of children's church. I don't know what he was thinking when he told me to lead worship. I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm not supposed to be here. And so we get in this mindset where, okay, well, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to step down. I'm just going to stop going to school. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to end. Just end it all. Just quit my story, and I'm just going to go to church on Sundays, Thursdays, and I'll go to prayer every once in a while. And so they tear us up, and we think, okay, well, I can't do this anymore. But these are the times when we're supposed to, maybe we just sit down. Maybe we just sit down and, okay, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying, but I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to trust you. When I think about how I am at this point in my life, as far as me and Jesus, this is what I picture, is just me kind of sitting back and worshiping and praying and all that good stuff, and then just him standing right there. I continue to just lift my hands and thank you, Jesus. Thank you for getting me this far, Jesus. I pray that you would just lead and guide me, and he's just standing right there. He's doing the work. He's paving the way, and I'm just sitting there waiting for him to tell me to get up and go do something. And every once in a while, he'll say, okay, Mariah, you need to go talk to this person. So I'll get up and go talk to them. And then, okay, Lord, go ahead. Because I can't do anything without him. I will literally be in shambles if I try to do anything without him. And so the times where we go through these hard times and we think, okay, I'm just going to quit now. Those are the times where we just need to sit back and we just need to trust in the Lord and expect that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. He's given every single one of us promises that we would get that eternal life. Maybe some of you, he's given specific promises, and he's going to fulfill those promises. You just need to expect that of him and have faith in him that he's going to do it. And I think Nicole said it last night at Bible study, is that our timeline doesn't look like God's timeline. Absolutely not. Does it? Not even close. Sometimes he'll come way before you even think. He'll do something way before you even think it was supposed to happen. You're like, that doesn't even make any sense. Why'd you do that? Like, you had to wait. Like, why? I wasn't ready. But he'll everything that he does is right on time. And so those are the times when we're like, okay, well, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do. I don't know what's going on right now. But God, my relationship with you is enough, and I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand firm in my beliefs. I'm going to stand firm in my relationship with you, and I'm going to allow you to do the work, and I'm not going to end my story. I'm going to be expectant of you, and I'm going to allow you to just have your way, and I'm not going to stop what I'm doing, even though it feels like it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know for me, I'm probably my own worst critic. I will literally pick and nag at everything that I do. But God sees something in us that none of us will see. That's something that I've been praying for, is God, show me how you see me. God, show me what you see in me. Let me see myself the way that you see me. And so there's a lot of stories in the Bible where people were just expectant. They just had faith. Just faith. It didn't take this massive prayer or all these big words. Nothing. It was just faith. I believe that he'll do it, and he did it. And so that's what we're gonna go through a couple of those tonight. In Mark 5:27, I'm sure all of you guys know all these stories that I'm about to talk about. But in every single one of them, the people involved, they didn't pray all these crazy things. They didn't have to go through all of these rituals and, okay, well, I need to pray this long for it to happen, or none of that. They just knew that if I believe, if I have faith, they had that expectancy. If I believe that Jesus can do it, then he can do it. So in Mark 5, verse 27, it says, where is it? Okay. So, actually, let me tell you what's going on. Jesus, he comes to the other side of the boat, and he's walking through this crowd, and he's getting ready to go heal a little girl who's about to die, and he's walking through this crowd, and there's a woman who has an issue with blood, and she's had this problem for 12 years, and she just can't. There's nothing that she's tried everything. She's given all of her money. She's went to every single person that she could think of, every doctor, to try to get this fixed, and nothing has fixed it. She still has this problem. And so in verse 27 it says, she had heard reports about Jesus, and she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his outer robe. For she thought, if I just touched his clothing, I will get well. Immediately her flow of blood was dried up, and she felt in her body and knew without any doubt that she was healed of her suffering. So we're going to stop right there. Oh, just kidding. We're going to go to verse 33. And the woman, though she was afraid and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith, your personal trust and confidence in me has restored your health. Go in peace and be permanently healed from your suffering." So, I don't know if it says, in verse 34, it says your personal trust and confidence. I don't know if it says that in all the versions, but that part hit me. Because it wasn't just, oh, the faith of your pastor, or the faith of your family, or the faith of your mother, or the faith of your daughter. It wasn't the faith of anybody else. It was her personal faith and trust in Jesus that set her free, that healed her entirely. And so she expected this miracle, and she got it. She knew that if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. And so after she got her miracle, it says that she was afraid and she was trembling. But when Jesus called her out, which I think anyone would be a little bit like, Jesus, he's talking to me. You're talking to me? Okay. But she was afraid, but when Jesus called her out, he said that your personal faith, your personal trust in me is what set you free. Your personal trust and belief that I would be able to do it, and expectancy that I would be able to heal you is what set you free. See, Jesus could have healed her regardless of what she believed. Jesus could have healed her even even if she didn't say anything, even if she didn't think, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, he could have done whatever he wanted to do. But her personal faith is what helped her and what healed her. And so it's not, like I said, it's not about, a lot of people think, okay, well, I'll be healed and I'll go to the altar, but it's only if the pastor puts anointing oil on my forehead and prays for me. When that evangelist comes through and they're like, oh yeah, this is my time to get healed. They've been praying for healing for months now, but now all of a sudden that the evangelist's here, yeah, this is it. And if he just touches me, and they make these pastors, the evangelists, into Jesus, but that's not it. You could be in your own prayer closet, and if you just had the faith and the expectancy that I'm not getting up from here until I get my healing. I'm not getting up from here until I get my miracle. It's not about who's around you. It's not about who's praying for you. It's about your faith. And so this woman, no one even wanted to get her through. She had to push through. She had to fight. She had to fight to get her healing. But she knew if I could just touch the hem of his garment, it doesn't need to be his hand, it doesn't need to be his feet. I don't even need him to lay his hands on me. I just need to touch the hem of his garment. That wasn't even a part of his body, it was laid over him. And so, where's your faith at? You're expecting this miracle. You're wanting this miracle. You're wanting this healing. Maybe you've gone through a few things and you just can't forgive, and you want this healing. But where's your faith at? Where's your relationship with Jesus? And what miracle are you expecting from him today? I believe that if every single one of us had a miracle, that tonight it would be answered. And Jesus, even a promise. Jesus, I don't know what to do. And then he promises you something. But he'll give that to you tonight. But where's our faith? Where's our expectancy at? Oh, well, I just need more money, so I need this promotion. But where's your faith at? Where's your expectancy? And so, in this same time, Jesus was going to heal a young girl. A little girl who was, I think it says that she was 12, but she was sick, and her dad went and told Jesus, like, Jesus, my daughter's sick, and I need you to come heal her. Jesus, I need a miracle. And so in verse 35, it says, well, he was still speaking. Some people came from the synagogue official's house, saying to Jairus, your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher anymore? Overhearing what was being said, Jesus said to the synagogue official, do not be afraid, only keep on believing in me and my power. So in verse 35, they said, well, she's already dead. Why are you going to keep bothering him? Maybe some of you, your family member, well, they're already addicted to whatever they're addicted to. Why are you going to keep praying for them? They're already doing what they're doing. There's no getting out. There's no way that they could turn back now. They're too far in. So why are you going to keep praying for them? And so all these people around us, sometimes they try to discourage us. And these people that came to tell him, they were people that he would consider close to him because they were at his house. This time of suffering, this time where his daughter was dying. And yet they still said, no, just leave Jesus alone. She's already dead. There's no hope anymore. And sometimes we surround ourselves with people like that. We surround ourselves with people that maybe don't believe in God and think, oh, well, just stop praying for them. You'll be fine. It's just life. It is what it is. And so that's where we need to come and we need to take a stand for our own faith and no, I'm going to keep praying for my family. I'm going to keep praying that I get healed. I don't care how long I've been walking around with this issue, with this problem. I'm going to keep praying until it gets answered because I know the God that I serve. And so these people told him, just leave him alone. And sometimes we do surround ourselves with people like that. And I know sometimes we are those people. Well, I'm done. you know, I can't with them anymore. They're too much. I just can't. And we're the ones that are bringing ourselves down. Well, you know, if Jesus wanted to do it, he would have done it already. But he's not done yet. He's not finished yet.
Amen.
And so then Jesus tells him, no, you keep believing in me. You keep having faith. And so then in verse 40 through 42 it says, when they finally got to Jairus' house, they began laughing at him because they knew the child was dead, but he made them all go outside and took along the child's father and mother and his own 3 companions and entered the room where the child was. Taking the child's hand, he said tenderly to her, Talitha kum, which translated from Aramaic means, little girl, I say to you, get up. The little girl immediately got up and began to walk, for she was 12 years old, and immediately they who witnessed the child's resurrection were overcome with great wonder and utter amazement. Her father could have easily said, Jesus, she's dead. Go ahead. Do whatever you need to do. I'm not going to bother you anymore. Go ahead. I'm sorry that I wasted your time. But no, he didn't. What if he hadn't still believed? What if he disregarded completely what Jesus had said and said, no, forget it. She's already dead. There's no hope. Then his daughter wouldn't have been raised from the dead. And so we need to continue to have that faith, because there is going to be people who are going to come out and they're going to tell you, especially those who don't believe, they're going to come and tell you, it doesn't matter. You don't have to go to church all the time. Nicole, you don't have to go and you don't have to pray before service. Just hang out with me for a little bit longer. Nicole, you don't have to go and you don't have to pray every single time, okay? You don't have to pray for me. I'm okay. But the thing is that, no, you need to have faith that God's going to do what he said he was going to do. He's not finished with you yet. And let's go to 1 Samuel 17, verse 33. There's many times where the enemy's going to try to make you think, well, this one's a little too big. I can't get through this. I don't know how me and my wife are fighting. Me and my husband are fighting. I can't do this anymore. I can't be with them anymore. But if we have faith and we have expectancy that, God, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know if I'm going to wake up with a smile on my face tomorrow or not, but God, I'm just going to trust that you're going to have your way in each and every one of our lives. God, I trust that you're gonna keep your hand over my cousins, over my nieces, over my nephews, and you're going to lead them to you. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't even know where you would start, but God, I believe in everything that you've done for me, and I believe that you're going to do it this time. God has done so many things, not only in the Bible, but there's people that you could find walking on the street that God has just answered prayers day after day. I know a lot of people that should not be here still, should not be walking on the earth still, but are still here because God is faithful, because God was not finished with them yet, because he's still doing something. And so this is probably one of my favorite Bible stories. It's David and Goliath. And David knew who he served. Regardless of what anybody told him, he knew who he served. And so in 1 Samuel 17:33, I just lost my, okay. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight him, for you are only a young man, and he has been a warrior since his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock. I went out after it and attacked it and rescued the lamb from its mouth. And when it rose up against me, I seized it by its whiskers and struck and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted and defied the armies of the living God. David said, "The Lord who has rescued me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." David knew who he served. In each and every one of these stories, they already knew, I'm going to get this miracle. David didn't go up, okay, well, Lord, I think I can do this. I think you got it. I'm just kind of stepping out in faith, but I'm not really sure. I'm just going to, Lord, I think you can do this. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99.9% sure that you could do this. I'm just going to go out there and then, whatever happens, happens. No, he knew exactly that God was gonna deliver him. Amen. He knew, no, this dude's talking about my God. This dude's talking about the God that I serve, and that's not okay. And I'm gonna stand, and God's gonna stand with me, and there's no one that's gonna stand against us. And so he knew exactly who he served. And then he goes to say, well, I killed lions and bears, and so what makes this guy any different? I shouldn't be standing here. I should be dead. They probably should have mauled me, but no, I'm here. God gave me the strength to overcome these things, so God's going to give me the strength to overcome this one. And so in verse 45 through 47, it says, "Then David said to the Philistine, 'You come to me with a sword and spear and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have taunted. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the corpse of the armies of the Philistines this day to the birds of the sky and the wild beasts of the earth, so that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that this entire assembly may know that the Lord does not save with sword or with spear, for the battle is in the Lord's hands, and he will hand you over to us.'" David proclaimed his victory before he even got it.
Come on.
David said, I'm going to do this. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be done. He was expectant of his victory. He was expectant, and he had faith that, God, I know you're going to come through, and I'm going to stand because you called me to stand. There's this army coming against his God, but he said, no, I'm not going to let anybody talk about my God that way. How many of you would just let somebody talk about your friends or talk about your parents or your daughters and sons? I know my mom gets so defensive when it comes to me and my brother. And I know you wouldn't. Nicole, you wouldn't let anybody just talk about your mom. So why is it that when people start coming against God, why is it when people start saying, oh, well, God's not real, we just kind of back down? Okay, well, you could just believe whatever you want to believe then. That's up to you. No, we need to be expectant. We need to have faith that these people who don't believe in God, maybe they've never even heard the name of Jesus. Maybe they don't know the power that God has. So why aren't we standing up and believing that he's going to set them free? It's one thing to go, and yes, you should go pray for them in your prayer closet after you talk to them. But are you even talking to them about Jesus? Are you even saying anything to them? But David knew that he was going to receive his victory. He didn't care how big Goliath was. He didn't care all the victories that he had over him. He knew that God was going to get the victory. And so David's relationship with God gave him that assurance. It gave him that assurance and that peace to go against Goliath, regardless of what Goliath said to him and regardless of what Saul said to him. In Exodus 14:12, this will be the last story, I promise. I know sometimes some of us get discouraged because we feel unqualified. Well, that person should be doing this. I don't know as much. Or, look at me. I shouldn't be doing this. We start putting these thoughts into our head, and the enemy starts feeding them into our mind that we're just not qualified. I can't. But the thing is that God hasn't called us to be qualified. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing down to the T. And so to question the call that God has on you, There's no need for that.
Amen.
Just have faith and be expectant that he's going to come through everything. And so in Exodus 14:12 through 16, it says, this is when the Israelites escape Egypt, and they're being led by Moses, and they're pretty much like, where are we supposed to go? Verse 12. Did we not say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians, for it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians as slaves than to die in the wilderness. Before I finish reading, this verse right here is how some of us get. I know that's how I felt. Let me just go back home. Let me go back to the place where I was. Let me go back to the place where I was a few years ago. And I'm okay. I'll just end my story there. They already knew that if they went back to Egypt, they would be slaves for the rest of their life. They were ready to write the end of their story right there. When some of them had kids and some of them had their lives ahead of them, but they were ready to end it right there. Okay, fine. There's nowhere to go now. I told you to just leave me here. God, I told you to just let me sit in the pews. Why are you having me do leadership? God, I told you to just let me sit in the pews. Why do you want me to go to school? And so we're ready to end our story. We're not having faith. We're not being expectant that God has a plan that's way higher than our plans. And so in verse 13 it says, then Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Take your stand and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For those Egyptians whom you have seen today will never see you again. The Lord will fight for you, while you only need to keep silent and remain calm. The Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the sons of Israel to move forward toward the sea. As for you, lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, so that the sons of Israel may go through the middle of the sea on dry land. And of course, you guys know how the end of the story goes. They cross the Red Sea, and the Egyptians get swept away by the water. And so they were ready to end their story. They were ready to stop right there and to back down and say, you know what, this is too much. We're stuck. There's nowhere to go from here. That's exactly how I felt. There's nowhere to go from here. What could I possibly do? All of this is so much bigger than me. What do you want me to do? And just have faith. Just be expectant that I'm going to do something. Be expectant that if you stand here and you continue worshiping and you continue allowing me to have my way in you, I'm going to do something. Just know that.
Amen.
There's no prayer that you need to pray. There's not a certain way that you need to do things. Just have faith. Continue to worship me. Continue to recognize who I am in your life. Continue to realize the relationship that we have and grow on that. But have faith that I'm going to do what I promised you I was going to do. And the same thing with Moses. The relationship that he had with God didn't allow him to give up. The relationship that I have with God does not allow me to give up. I tried. And I will tell you that maybe this is looked down upon, but I did. I fought it and I tried. Just let me sit there. I don't want to do anything. I'll even lead worship for the rest of my life. Just let me be. But the relationship that I had with him, that I have with him to this day, will not let me stop.
Amen.
It will not let me stop growing. It will not let me just end my story right here. Every single one of us. God has called and chosen every single one of us. And the relationship that we have with him should not allow us to quit. It should allow us to want to keep going forward. It should allow us to be more curious. God, who are you? Who do you say that you are? God, who do you say that I am? We should not have that desire in our hearts because God is who he says he is. God is victorious at the end of the day. Jesus wants to move in every single one of us. He wants to walk through this room and just touch us. It doesn't matter if pastor's praying for you. It doesn't matter if any of the leaders are praying for you. He wants to move in us. It doesn't matter how many times they pray over you. It doesn't matter how many times that they say you're healed. Jesus wants to say that you're healed. But do you have faith enough to stand and say that you are? And he wants to move, but if we don't have faith, then what's he going to do? He can do whatever he wants, but he wants us to have faith. So don't be discouraged, and don't let your story end, and don't try to end your story early because of the things that you're facing. Because of the things that may seem a little bit hard. Because I'm sure where you are at today, you would have never thought that you were there 5 years from now. I know that when I was a freshman in high school, I had no clue what I was doing with my life. But I never would have thought that I would be doing what I was doing today. I never would have thought that I would be in Oklahoma, out of all places, doing what I'm doing today. I have met the most wonderful people ever. And when I say that everything that God does, he does for a reason, I am not kidding. Every single person that I've met, goodness, it would be, if one little thing, I was telling Rebecca this the other day, if one little thing changed in my life, if one little thing was just a little bit different, I would be somewhere else. One of my friends that she's my best friend. She's like, we're two peas in a pod. We're attached at the hip. And we met at school. But the way that we met is that I was friends with her roommate. And then her roommate ended up leaving. And so, if I hadn't been friends with her roommate, I would have never met this girl. We live all the way across campus from each other. We don't really have classes together. Everything is different except that we met through her roommate. If anything about my life was different, where would I be? If anything about your guys' life was different, where would you be? God is so faithful, but we just have to have the faith. We have to have faith. Pastor was talking about it on Sunday. We have to have faith to move forward. That God's going to move us forward. Maybe we don't have to take those steps. Maybe he just wants you to be still. But we have to be expectant that he's going to do what he said he was going to do. There's work that he's trying to do in us every single day. So I know that sometimes we get discouraged and sometimes, well, I don't know how I'm going to do this. God, I don't even know how you're going to do this. And we try to figure it out. We try to figure out, well, maybe if you do it like this, God, it'll work out. Oh, but then that person won't, you know. So we try to figure it out in our heads. At least that's the kind of person that I am. But God knows what he's doing. In every single one of our lives. There's so many of us, but he knows exactly what he's doing in each and every one of our lives. But do we have the faith to step out and say, okay, God, I'm listening. Okay, God, I'm here. I'm at your disposal, Lord. Use me as you need. Let me be your vessel. I'm not going to stop now even though it seems hard. I'm not going to stop now even though everything is coming against me right now. I'm not going to stop, and I'm just going to have faith, and I'm going to allow you to do the things that you need to do in my life. I'm going to allow you to let me be the light to my family. I'm going to allow you to let me speak to people at my school, to let me speak to people at my place of work. And I know I'm not as long-winded as my dad, but if you guys could just stand to your feet. And before I have Nicole come up,